Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to URU. So, I have no idea specifically why the game wants me to wait 15 minutes for the mixing machine to actually mix and create things. Why this isn't instantaneous is insane, um, considering how everything else in the entire Myst universe has been pretty much always instantaneous. And it really makes an implication that this factory is either building something so special that it takes 15 minutes where everything else is just magically always made, or that everything else wasn't actually being created and it was all just facade and fakery, which might be the case. Or maybe that just everything does take a ridiculous amount of time to make and everything has just been pre-made. Here we can see what looks like the timer being close to being done. So there was one thing I wanted to check out while we're waiting for it. It's probably about 5 minutes, I would guess. So we can just kind of wander around. After we do this part, we've done the two main parts of the path of the shell, and then that just gets us into the final part. So over here, can we get to the terminal? Not there, not there, not there, not there, not there. Trying to get to the dock. And trying to figure out what the easiest way to get to the dock would be. And it might just be easiest to go to the Nexus and get to the dock that way. It feels so silly that the Nexus isn't just broken out into more books. I mean, it is just gonna feel so dumb when we finish this and there's like 20 extra books locked around. And then I guess it is slightly questionable how many actual books this Nexus actually could have. It seems like the number would be in the low 100, 200 amount. So we're just running to the ferry terminal, I think is what it's called. And these numbers don't coordinate with anything, apparently. Unless I re-registered now that the grade 0 is on. I guess I could potentially try that and then go back to the Nexus. That would be interesting. So, now that the grade 0 is enabled, there is a thought that by re-registering that would actually be a better location and indication. So, from the grade 0, we are negative 92 down. We are 73 away. And the angle is drastically changing with every step. It does give it a different feeling, I suppose, now kind of knowing that the Deny Recovery Council just ran. They tucked their tails between their legs and ran. So over here, I think this was blocked off at some point. And over here was an area that when I watched the speedrun had a calibration point. But I haven't been over here. Never been in this area. Here we have a screen that's broken. Over here we have a screen that's not powered. totally haven't been in this point. So there were clearly more calibration points than you would think. This is like a bar. Feels kind of like a reference to Star Trek. We've got these jugs. And there's the scanner going from the Great Zero, still going wherever it wants. Interesting. So somehow I managed to calibrate the Great Zero without getting all the points and with missing this area completely. Which then kind of makes you wonder, how many points did I totally miss in this world? There's probably more parts of Deny I missed, as we now kind of can make our way into the city. The city does not fully restore itself, though, and ideally that's what you would have wanted. And it seems fairly obvious that had URU been a success, there would have never been another single player Myst game in the series, and they would have just continuously sold expansions. In a funny way, it's kind of what the reselling of the Myst games, once Cyan got it, really was all about. And just nothing wants to work right now as far as mouse and cursor, because at that level, once Myst had been kind of 10 years away from having a new game come out, it really was just the hardcore fans that were still interested in playing Myst and owning Myst, and they were the ones that would be willing to basically kickstart. I don't know if it actually was a Kickstarter, but similar ideas. So I guess where we were right there was Tukata, and then, or Tukata 2, and this is Tukata, so there should be some way into this area also. And then I don't think we ever got into the guild hall. Yeah. I don't think you can get in there. I feel like the guild hall may very well be the place where Atrus was waiting at the ending of the first game. That would kind of make sense. And let's see. We came down this way. So this should be Tukta. So have we been down here? Yeah. And I still feel like the temple is behind these doors. So that's Tukta 1. Okay. And I've almost certainly been up here. If I recall correctly, this is to the palace, as it were. Nope, not quite. Well, let's play around a little bit here. Each of these still blocked. Yeah. Let's go back to the Nexus. Then we'll go back to Real 2 Island. And then we'll go and see if it's done, as we're just wasting time. I feel like it's somewhat fair to depict how much 15 minutes really is in a game like this. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it just doesn't seem like it's right. It doesn't seem like the Ground Zero configuration points ever get updated. And like, so if I was to take, let's see, let's actually delete all of them just out of weirdness, and then take this and go back to the ferry terminal. And then we'll link back to where we were. Yeah, they were so vested in the idea that a linking book could not link you to the same age you're already in that they make you jump through a whole bunch of rigmarole for no good reason. And only the deletable points there would be the ones that you could ever get the Grade Zero coordinates enabled in. The other sections of the game would not allow for that. It kind of also feels like, since it is in the middle of, man, I'm gonna have to do this again, darn it. Another test of my incapability to jump. Let's see. You can kind of see why this doesn't want to work. It's awkward as all get out. Yeah, so I guess in the 2 Deny DLC, the implication is that the Deny Recovery Council was pretty much there until I coordinated the Grade Zero, and after I coordinated the Grade Zero, that was the point that they decided to leave. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because if that were the case, then why did I not ever see them, or any human at all? It would be very nice if I was walking around and people said, "Hello, stranger," to you. Yeah. It's just glitched. It's just gotta be glitched. Like, because that is still not working by any means. And it should work. It totally goes to show that there's the place if I wanted to jump into it, by the way. It also totally goes to show that they were hoping not only for the Nexus to be a big thing that would take you to a lot more areas, I guess, in Earth, and I guess you could certainly make the assumption that there might be other underground cities and civilizations under Earth, as much as there was the Deny people in the Great Caverns, because they were pretty much always isolationists, so there's nothing really saying that there couldn't be other secret underground societies. It'd be kind of funny if it turned out all the Deny people were actually lizard people, and this is just that lizard people idea. Subterranean lizard people living in... Alright, well, that was 15 minutes. Let's see. So we need to take a pellet with us, which means we need to get an item, which this game is not let us get any items. That no texture black box is still there. So they've made these kind of compressed pellets. I don't know what these compressed pellets do. This definitely does look like that platform in the other area over here. But that is in deny. We are not in deny by any means. So let's see what this does. Seriously? Did I just reject it? Did I just reset it? Oh man. What a waste that would have been. Let's see. Let's see. It says you made 6 pellets. Press this blue button and one of the pellets will be delivered into the receptacle in front of you. Alright, what can we do for another 15 minutes? Why another 15 minutes? Nope, no undo option there. This is just full on insanity. So we started it again. And still the setting is wrong. Alright, well, while we're waiting for that, I could either pause the game for 15 minutes and then try and unpause it, and that's a mess. Or we could try and look around this world a little bit, because we haven't done too much of that. Not that, because we can't do anything with that. We still don't know what to do with that after all this time. It really is just proof. Like, this world being this big is probably the only good reason for that would be so that you could wander around it and look around. But there's kind of nothing here, too. And see, if you went and watched my coverage of Abduction, which I'd highly recommend after watching this, there's kind of a deserty area in Abduction, and it's much tighter. You do not walk very far until you've seen something. There's none of this kind of garbage that happens where you're wasting your time as much. It's so ridiculous. And really, this is probably a prime example of contractual obligations between Cyan Worlds. Or Cyan. I think it was called Cyan back then, but it's called Cyan Worlds now. They probably had a contractual obligation, if I was to guess, to deliver 15 to 60 hours of gameplay. and they stretched really, really hard to get to 60 hours of gameplay. Particularly if you've got a puzzle here that literally cannot be solved until 15 minutes has passed in real world time. And the theme of time, I suppose, is supposed to be playing out here. That you're supposed to realize that the island that we were on was pretending like it could move time forward. And I suppose solving that puzzle would take you more than 15 minutes for sure. But the theme of time is clearly being tried to be used here as a reference, as a subconscious trainer. I think I'd hit an invisible wall if I went down that way. And we might as well find out. Nope. So you don't just fall to your death. It's a nice little water. The water textures look pretty nice considering how old this game is. That might be that the DirectX programming itself has just kind of built on itself more and more and improved it on itself, whereas a texture on a wall can't be really improved that much. So, yeah. Does it make any sense to go back to the cleft? No, not really. Does it make any sense to go back to the first world? No, not really. Does it make any sense to go back to the second world? No, not really. Yeah, there's no reason to go back to any of these worlds. They don't play any part, at least so far as we understand it now. If they did play a part, that would be weird. Here's a good question. Since this is pretty much a desert canyon planet, at least when you first see it, why not connect this age with that age and just expand? Why not just continuously expand and have more linking books that link to the same ages instead of throwing in new worlds? Again, probably a contractual thing. Like, they probably were required to bring in new ages with every expansion, at least a couple. And that is, I guess, the weirdness, I suppose, of how this all works, is that you will inevitably have a situation where a publisher has to negotiate in real world terms. They have to put numbers and metrics to the game that is being designed. We were apparently on a page that was blank somehow. That seems like a glitch. And then those real world metrics seem to very often in troubled development get half finished. You could definitely say that about the Nexus. The Nexus is just the worst world. It makes so much sense that this Nexus would have just appeared right here. Just have a key scanner appear right here when you install the DLC. Stick your hand into the key scanner, and every time it does that, it makes a new book appear on the shelf. And pretty much the shelf should have just magically changed every time you got a new book anyways. That would have been a nice animation you could have done. It should have started like a shelf with just 6 books right in the middle, and then with the expansion you get the first of 3 more books, and then with the second expansion you get the first of the 5 more books there. That would have been a nice little animation, better than the sliding in and sliding out animation here that really doesn't matter. And I bet there were some people that played with this and thought that there might be some kind of combination lock that would play a role to unlocking something more in this area, but it's not the case. Not as far as anybody ever found. It'd be really crazy with the source code being released and all. It would be really, really crazy if somebody found some new element to this game, or the online version of this game. Yeah, we still have like 7 minutes. Yeah, this sucks. They should not have let me reset it. There was no reason for that reset lever to exist. Because either this was going to work or it wasn't. There's no mistake option. So, let me look at the walkthrough. Let's see. As the walkthrough wants you to have played it, they would have wanted you to do the Ahane Island section after this point, and we've already done all of that, and it seems like we may have to, because of that, jump around a little bit more. And then the final few puzzles, of which there's seemingly quite a few of them, yeah, the final few puzzles are kind of increasingly more difficult, because they are built around the concept of having just taken a lot of pictures. Not these pictures from the previous games, but pictures of all those times. So, starting... Not yet. Nope, still a lot of pictures just from the main game. We never saw anything about that creature, by the way. Just a creature. They have no point. Seems like it, at least. Not yet. Yeah, there was nothing about those pictures either that mattered. So, yeah, here. So, we're going to have to find a solution for all of these puzzles and all of these, of which there's just a ton. We kind of already know the solution for all of those, so if I wanted to, I could probably delete those fairly easily. And in this case, I very well didn't take the picture at the right angle, so maybe I missed some detail that's really important. And it would be rather nice if you could organize these pictures, label these pictures, or give them a location or a name or something. It's really silly that on top of the key, all you have is this notebook. What was I supposed to write in this notebook, really? Like, the first thing I put here was prison with switches, which was something that we cheated and used the walkthrough for. The deny shell has many time codes. There's a spin codes that we tried to write the answer to and didn't get it right. But basically there's nothing you could put in your journal. Like, nothing at all. And you don't have the ability to write in deny either. So you can't turn your journal into like a linking book, because you'd have to write in the deny language. You can't turn your journal into a descriptive book to create a new age, because that wouldn't work either. So thank goodness we are done with that. Would be nice if you could kind of save the game, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So you're going to touch this, put your hand on it, and then you're going to touch this. And that's going to teleport just the pellet, as it's described, to this device. And it scans it, and it fills it up with energy. And it drops it in the water and starts glowing in the water. Great. So now we have glowing water. Okay. What are you supposed to learn from that? Basically nothing. Kind of like the Ahone Islands. You just kind of get to the end. And there's no audio, there's nothing there that tells you you've made progress. There's nothing there that helps you realize that you've finished and checked off that area. Just no game elements, no game feedback. So only because I was reading the walkthrough do I know I needed to come back to this place where we've already been, and you basically have a 50-50 chance that you would have already been here. And it did nothing. I must have gone to the wrong one. Okay, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? I'm falling. I got stuck. And this was probably one of the first games I've ever played when I first played it that had just such a terrible system in which you needed a recovery system like that. I guess in most games you would just fall to your death and you'd think it was your own fault. That would be fairly easy to do. But a checkpoint system would have been nicer. Like they really, in turning the Myst games into a first-person, third-person game series, that they really needed to implement a checkpoint system and probably violate the rule of linking books potentially lighting up. I have no idea where I'm supposed to be. The walkthrough says that we should go to the Borrow Cavern. Remember those pelts in says remember the pelts you made in Urkana. When they fell into the water, they dissolved and light up. If you drop them through the hole in the upper chamber, after 5 minutes they will fall through the lower chamber and illuminate the chamber. After 15 minutes. Link to Rydo and back to Urkana Factory via the shell cloth. Press the button to get a pellet, touch it, and then hit the borrow stone. You'll see it fall through the hole. Okay. So, I guess the hint there is that the borrow stones are always indicators of what you're supposed to do. Not great indicators of what you're supposed to do, but they are helper things. So remember, we only have 5 more of these pellets, although I don't know why I'll need more than 1 more. So hit the blue button, get the next one, touch these pellets, and then touch this one. So we're using an unofficial use of the pellets. Okay. So now it says it will dissolve in 15 minutes. It says in the walkthrough, I went back and got a couple more pellets so that I would have plenty of light. At your leisure, after 625 URU seconds, the pellet will drop through and splash into the pool. The white light will illuminate the walls, and you can see the grid. Alright, well, for convenience sake, let's just go ahead and do that. Anyways, 15 minutes after 15 minutes. That's so insane. Just complete waste of time. Like, to the extreme. Way more of a waste of time than any other part of this game. To make you wait 15 minutes to make the pellets, to make you wait 15 minutes to drop the pellet after that point, and almost certainly it's not the last time you're going to have to wait some amount of time. One hopes it's not another 15 minutes. I could get 5 minutes. Even in 2003, 15 minutes doesn't make any sense. So the idea, I think, is that there is a pellet that's falling down. I don't see a pellet falling down. I don't see anything like that at all. And that's going to light up this pattern. Kind of feels like you could just skip this part and use the walkthrough. Let me double check the walkthrough and make sure I did this right, because I heard it fall and splash. Let's see. Press the button, get a pellet, touch it, and the borrow stone will drop through the hole. I went back and got a couple of more pellets so that I would have plenty of light. You can now relax now as you've got 15 minutes to wait. At your leisure, link back to Real 2, then Ano Nay using the shell cloth, and from there go to the borrow chamber. Get yourself in a good position to see the squares on the wall and wait. So I mean, I can see the squares. Is that a good position? Or should we be kind of closer over this way? Okay. PCs used to run at 66 megahertz. Now they run somewhere at a core frequency between, I'd imagine, 600 to 800 and maybe even approaching a whole gigahertz per core. And you would have this turbo button that would speed everything up and make it run double. So a Pentium 1 could run at 122 megahertz at that time, and you could cheat games and speed up games. I really wish I had something like that right now. Or there's something called Cheat Engine I've never heard of, never used, but I imagine Cheat Engine could probably do this. It also feels like fairly obvious that you could have fixed these problems really easily and not have the time element be such a deal, and certainly not make it wait that long. There's no reason in 2020 to be waiting 30 minutes for something to happen. It really makes no sense at all. There isn't 30 minutes of extra stuff to do in this final DLC. And in a weird way, I suppose if you only sort of disliked URU, the main game, or if you even liked it a little bit but didn't love it, I'm going to discount the opinions of anybody that absolutely loved the main game of URU. Like, it wasn't terrible, but I'm just going to discount those opinions. If you sort of liked URU, the main game of URU, you probably were really disappointed with the first expansion. And after spending 30 minutes waiting, trying to find the solution, and probably several hours if you're not using a walkthrough trying to find the solution, and probably giving up and never finding the solution if you're not using a walkthrough, it seems fairly ridiculous to have a experience like this. And you could have just patched it. The one place where it says 625, change that down to 125, which I guess would be 125 of the URU seconds, which apparently 625 is the roughly 15 minutes. So I don't even know how that equates. Like 4.25 URU seconds to a human second, I guess. Yeah, it's a weird breakdown. There's really nothing to do here. Okay. So apparently the path to the shell, as I'm checking here, has to do with the blue books that were added in the Real 2 area. And so they aren't specifically built around a time as much as it is more like a Bible chapter, book, and verse type setting. So you have to read the books. According to the walkthrough, and maybe this will be different, what he got was 1-4, which would be Descendants, book 1, line 4, which would have been the door lies at the end of the path. Then he got 138. The passing of time gives the path to the gathered. Then he had 189. Be still and the path will be made known. Then he had 218. The action of the gathered means nothing. 230. Darkness makes the righteous humble and the evil bold. 232. Seek the path of the shell. 372. Take time to understand the path of the shell. 310. The path of the stone is toil for the gathered. 410. The path of the watcher is 625, which that seems like that is getting beaten over our heads. 452, the way is made clear at the end of time. The future. 481, the future is always revealed to those who wait. 496, rest in the light. 518, the gathered will find rest when the light comes. It seems like all of these answers are kind of repeating, much like the entire history of the Myst series. It seems like they just say the same thing multiple times. Although, since these are solutions to the puzzle, I can't really complain about them trying to make sure more people can understand it. Last two, 532, roll the stone to know the deceiver, and 557, the path is folly for those who toll. And all of that really comes down to it. Seems like you have to stand in the light without moving for 625 URU seconds. So that means we will have to stand for another 15 minutes. Ridiculous. So they've got you for nearly an hour. Let's just assume that you make a mistake once. They've got nearly an extra hour of gameplay here that is just around standing in some place for 15 minutes over and over again. How is this the lesson that you're supposed to learn? Like, really? How in the world is stand around and do nothing the lesson that Myst and URU is supposed to be teaching you? Compare this to the lessons you learned or they were teaching you in Myst 3 Exile, where dynamic forces made good worlds, or a balanced world makes a good world. Balancing nature and mechanics makes a good world. Making systems and dynamic forces makes a good world. There was those educational worlds in Myst 3 Exiles really had more to say than the entirety of the Path of the Shell, which really seems like it is just going to be stand in a place. Has it been 15 minutes? Did I miss it while I was looking down at the walkthrough? Have I screwed up? Like, how could one of the pellets magically appear at all? That's the real question. Is why would it magically appear and not just fall down? Or why would I not just see a pellet that is slowly falling down? What is this hourglass shaped building that it's so magical? Why is this the new magical thing that they are pushing? It kind of totally breaks the idea and the mentality of Myst, that things could just appear and fall to the ground. Although the borrow stones, I guess, are just magically appearing also, and the journey cloths are just appearing magically, so seems like Yeesha with the lesser and the borrow, I guess that's the name of them, they seem like they are very capable of just making things happen. It'd almost make more sense if, like, why not just have it drop immediately and only last 15 minutes? That would still eliminate a decent number of people who didn't figure out how to get here in time. That would feel a lot more fair and reasonable. I don't know, did I miss it? Let me look at a clock. It seems like more than likely I probably just haven't done it. So I see that there's 10 minutes left in our hour. So if 10 minutes happen, that would have to make the assumption that it hasn't even been 5 minutes. And if it hasn't even been 5 minutes, you can just tell how impatient I am with this. This is just kind of ridiculous. And almost certainly I will play the next part off screen. I don't feel... Oh, there we are. So that did just splash and fall. And quick, take a screenshot. And up here, it's already gone. So there was a whole bunch of stuff, but boy would that suck. So this one's 532. Let's see. That is one of the things that they got also. Now the combination for the final part of the main game is randomized per install apparently, but I don't think the combination and the solution for anything else is. So this symbol, these blue books would be the thing that you would have to look at. And so you have a path of the shell and some symbol we haven't even seen. And I guess you just start on the left and call that 1. So let's see, I can barely even read this because it's typed so small. 1, 4 is the door lies at the end of the path. So 1, 2, 3, 4 does not say the door lies at the end of the path. So either this is the wrong book or they mean actual sentences, because this would be the second sentence and this would be the third sentence and this is the fourth sentence. And it seems like it's kind of all gibberish, just random stuff, kind of like the Book of Codes. A lot of these things start with and. Alright, so let's see. This is section 1. The door lies at the end of the path. And so that's the deny symbol for 1. So this one doesn't have anything, so it's probably not even used. And so then you could look at each of these books and mostly figure out that they're kind of gibberish and that they're code puzzles, very much like the solution of the solution to the puzzle in Myst 1. So they're really revisiting some hits instead of doing something new. Alright. So back to the Watchers area. And do I stand in the light here with this screen that rotates and seems to be able to rotate quite nicely compared to other screens that are flat on the walls? Or am I supposed to stand in the light for 15 minutes in here? Because I don't see a light. And see, this is the path of the deceiver, so I guess this is the face of the deceiver. Let's activate this. So it was standing here for 15 minutes, wasn't it? I did stand here for several minutes in a previous episode. And yeah, I at no point ever thought 15 minutes would have been the amount. It's so ridiculous. Just fix that. Just put out a patch and say, we've changed the code, it's now 2 minutes. It's now 3 minutes. It's now 5 minutes. It doesn't change the experience by much, really. Nobody's going to stand in one place AFK for 15 minutes more than they would stand in one place AFK for 5. So, alright. Go to the lever in the corner, turn on the light. Since you're standing on the shell already, don't move. Eventually, about 15 minutes later, you hear a metallic noise and the ladder emerges in the wall. Climb the ladder and walk around to the end of the ledge. After that point, we have 2 or 3 more things that we'll have to do. Okay, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start the timer that I use to mark that an episode's about an hour long. I'm going to end this recording, and then I'm going to start the next recording in about 12 minutes. And so we'll start the next episode right here, just standing in the same place, and then with any luck, as long as we don't run into yet another place where we have to stand for 15 minutes, we will be done with this DLC and done with URU in totality. It'll be a little weird when we get to Myst 4. Like, Myst 4 has its own kind of weird system, but it's sort of playable. And then Myst 5 had a really weird system that just did not work at all on my computer when I first played it. So maybe there's been a patch to that. Otherwise, that's going to be really weird. We might have a pretty negative experience for Myst 4 and Myst 5 because of those issues. And certainly URU is not helping it. It really, for I guess most hardcore fans, would be a case of most people probably liking only Myst and Riven, and that's why those are the 2 games that have gotten ports and remasters many times over, where even the good Ubisoft made game Myst 3 Exile, in my opinion, doesn't really cut the mustard. And I don't know how you fix any of the Path of the Shell DLC, really. You can have the giant factory, you can have the mixing machines, you can, if you take out the time restraints, that's fine. But a lot of this other stuff just doesn't work. It's too obscure. It's not puzzly. I just want more doors to pick locks on, or open combination locks on. I just want something to do if you're going to make a game like this. When I think about going back and playing Myst 1, you pretty much were always running into a new kind of puzzle to deal with. Nothing took an hour. Nothing required 15 minutes of standing in one place or anything like that. You just would find something, and then you would know you need to find the solution to that thing, and it would open a door, and then it would take you to the next something, and then the next something, and the next something. It really feels like even in all of URU combined, you have fewer puzzles, actual puzzles, than you would in Myst and Riven combined, which is not a good way to try and make a online experience. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.